There are moments, in the stillness between thoughts, when reality seems thinner than it should be. A whisper in an empty room, a sudden familiarity with a place never seen, a dream that bleeds into waking life with uncanny precision. These are small ruptures in the veil, hints that the world may be more layered than it appears. The question that has haunted humanity for millennia, whispered in tombs and encoded in scripture, is reborn in new terms. Is the afterlife not elsewhere, but elsewhen? Not in the heavens above, but in a dimension beside. Science, bound to observation yet increasingly untethered from classical assumptions, has begun to explore the possibility that our universe is not alone. The idea of multiple dimensions, real, spatial-temporal extensions beyond the familiar length, width, height, and time, has emerged not from fantasy, but from string theory, M-theory, and quantum field mathematics. According to these models, there could be up to 11 dimensions, most of them invisible, curled tightly into infinitesimal shapes or separated from us by membranes of unfathomable delicacy. These extra dimensions are not distant, they are here, overlapping, like notes we cannot hear, like colors we cannot see. Could the afterlife be encoded in one of them? In esoteric traditions, the idea of hidden realms is ancient. The Tibetans speak of the bardo, an intermediate state of awareness that exists between death and rebirth. The Kabbalists describe overlapping worlds, Asaya, Yetzirah, Bariah, Atziluth, each closer to the divine essence. In Sufism, the Alam al-Mithal is a subtle plane where the soul navigates symbols and meanings. And in Theosophy, planes of existence range from the dense material to the sublime spiritual, like layers of a cosmic onion. None of these systems treat death as final cessation. Rather, they present it as a crossing, a movement of consciousness from one vibrational state to another. The body dies, but something more essential, more luminous, slips through the cracks of space-time. Where it goes depends not only on metaphysics, but perhaps on the very structure of the universe itself. Quantum physics lends strange credence to these notions. The phenomenon of entanglement, where particles remain connected across distance and time, suggests that separation is a kind of illusion. Some physicists have proposed that consciousness may be a non-local phenomenon, not generated by the brain but received by it, like radio waves by a receiver. If this is true, then death might not mean the end of consciousness, but rather the cessation of a particular frequency. The receiver breaks, the signal persists. If consciousness is not bound to the body, where does it go? One hypothesis is that the afterlife, or what we call it, exists in a higher dimensional framework. Just as a two-dimensional creature living on a flat surface would be unable to comprehend a third dimension, so might we be blind to the dimensions that cradle our existence. Death, then, could be the soul's rotation into a higher axis, a turn we cannot follow with our eyes, but which the spirit perceives intuitively. This brings us to the threshold between science and mysticism, where physics meets metaphysics, where hard math becomes soft light. Some researchers suggest that the brain's complex neural network might function as a quantum processor, interacting with deeper layers of reality. The orchestrated objective reduction theory, developed by Roger Penrose and Stuart Hameroff, posits that consciousness arises from quantum activities within microtubules in the brain. If these quantum states are entangled with larger fields of existence, then the death of the body might simply release the soul into the next available state, much like energy passing through a prism into different wavelengths. In esotericism, this idea is already a given. The soul, they say, sheds the physical body like a coat and proceeds into a domain where form responds to thought, where time flows differently, where memory becomes space. This world, or these worlds, are not dreams, they are structured, ordered, meaningful. Some describe realms of healing and reflection, others of light and reunion. Some speak of lower planes where souls wander in confusion, working through the residue of their choices, while others ascend through spheres of light toward states of unity and dissolution. What links many of these teachings is the concept that our current life is only one expression of a broader, multidimensional existence. The soul is not a single point, but a spectrum. Death is not erasure, but a shift. And the afterlife is not an end, but a continuation, a journey into layers more real, not less. Is there evidence? There are stories, near-death experiences where individuals describe meeting loved ones, seeing realms of color and harmony, learning that life continues. There are children who recall past lives with disturbing precision. There are mystics who vanish into trances and return with visions that defy fabrication. There are scientists who, on the edge of death themselves, have whispered things that belong to poetry, not data. Skeptics will call these anecdotes. But even the most rational minds must confront a peculiar convergence, that ancient religions and modern theories now speak in parallel metaphors. That string theorists and mystics alike describe layers, fields, vibrations, unfoldings. Could it be that the afterlife is not a place, but a dimension, a continuation of awareness beyond the visible frame? Not outside us, but beside us. Not tomorrow, but already here, in frequencies we have forgotten how to hear. Perhaps the soul does not journey across distance, but deepens into context. Perhaps the dead are not gone, but rotated out of view, present in a way we cannot trace. Influencing, observing, waiting. If so, then the veil is not a wall, but a shimmer. And death is not the end of the story, but a change in the alphabet. To those who have touched the edge of death and returned, there is often no fear. Only a quiet knowing. A sense that something vast and loving awaits, not as judgment, but as home. And for those still here, wondering, listening, perhaps the real task is not to discover the afterlife, but to become fluent in the hidden grammar of dimensions. To train the soul not for departure, but for recognition. So that when the veil parts, it will feel not like exile, but return. Somewhere beyond the visible spectrum of being, the next sentence of your soul is already written. You just haven't turned the page yet.